Good morning. I am Lorraine Harrison with About Marketing, and we're here this morning to talk about taxes. We have an incredible professional expert with us today who's written a book that's entitled Stand Up to the IRS. And so we're going to get some tips today on how to do just that and protect ourselves and learn something about maybe some of the things that we question on ourselves to how to do a good job with the taxes. So we have Steve Perry, who's the author of this book, and Steve's been working on taxes for over 40 years. So we're glad to have him, and welcome, Steve.
Thank you.
And this book has a lot of valuable information in it, and that it's available on Amazon, right?
It is.
Okay. And but chapter 3, particularly, the 10 best strategies to deal with the IRS. And some of them I thought, well, I'm not interested in. So I don't want to deal with that. So I'm going to just start and let you give us a little feedback on each one of the things that you have listed here.
Okay.
And first of all, it says that you are not in control of your outcome if you do not open those letters from the IRS and take the bull by the horns.
That's it.
So I guess that's the first thing. Somebody has a letter from the IRS. So let's start there.
Okay. You get a letter. It's got that return address, Department of Treasury. You know what it is. It's a letter from the IRS. First, don't panic. Let me say that again. Don't panic. Sit down, open the envelope, and read the letter. If after reading the letter you're scratching your head thinking, what? I don't understand that. Then you call me. But don't be ashamed. Those letters are written by lawyers. There's a bill in Congress now to try to force them to make them easier to read. Don't bet on it. The IRS writes letters that can stand up in court. So what does that mean to you? Well, it means you need somebody to interpret that letter if you don't understand it, such that you understand what the IRS is saying, and then you can come up with a plan to beat it. So step one, you got to open that letter.
Okay, and then I know I've gotten one of those letters, and it says either pay this, or if you have questions, I should call the IRS. Is that the right mode?
No. Well, let me back off. If it's a relatively small amount, only a few $100s, and you've got it in the bank, you'll lower your stress, save yourself money in the long run, just pay it. Even if you don't think you owe it, if it's only a few $100s, it's going to cost you more to prove your point than it would have just paying it off. And I don't take clients who are zealous about beating the IRS. It never goes well. So if it is a significant amount, and quite often it is, if the IRS is sending you a notice, then yes, the answer is to contact a specialist. The IRS wants you to call. Sure. Because they're going to tell you how you can pay that bill. Not what your other options are. Not can you challenge the amount. But how to pay the bill.
Now, what's the worst thing that can happen if I just ignore it? Because, it's scary.
Well, okay. Ignore the letter and it's more than $10,000.
Okay.
You can be thrown out of your house.
What?
That's right. The IRS is not in the real estate business. Don't get me wrong. They don't want your house. But if you ignore them, they'll say, what assets does this taxpayer have? Oh, she's got a bank account. That's seized. She's got an IRA. That's seized. Yes, they can seize it. They've got a house and they still owe us $40,000. Now, this doesn't happen overnight. Don't get me wrong. This takes 4 or 5 months. But if you just totally blow it off, you may find somebody. First, you'll get a letter saying this is an intent to lien. That's when they go down to your county seat. They pay whatever the filing fee is, and you have a lien. So if you go to sell your house, you're not selling it, not without satisfying that lien. Then they'll send you a letter called intent to levy. When they send the intent to levy, that means they are planning to come take you out of your house and sell your house for tax tax.
I'm just a normal business person. How did I end up here? By ignoring the IRS?
Yeah. Think of the IRS, and I use this quite often, just like you would a cancer. If I have a little growth here on my hand, you can bet I'm getting to my doctor and say, do we need to cut this out? And then taking appropriate action. Why? Because I don't want it spreading throughout my body and killing me. The IRS can be a cancer. They send you the first notice that says, hey, we think you owe money. Either call us, don't do that, pay the money, or come up with a written response. You ignore that. They send you a letter 30 days later. You ignore it. We assume you agree with it, so now you need to pay it. I'm not going to do that. 30 days later, no. We told you you need to pay this. We're going to put a lien on your property. We have a lien. We have placed a lien on your property. You get on the county records, IRS lien. Now they're in whatever position is in order. The mortgage company's first, and there's others. But now you can't sell that house without their permission.
Oh dear.
And then, you continue to ignore them. They'll send you a letter called intent to levy. At that point, that asset, that house, is going on an auction block. The mortgage company will be paid. Whoever's the head of the IRS will be paid. Anything left will go to the IRS. Anything left after that will be given to you. You go find whatever place you want in there.
Wow. That doesn't sound like much fun to me.
Nope.
So what's the answer to that?
We go back to step number 1. Read the letter.
Okay. And then if you still are confused, to call you.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
And well, I had looked at the list of things. Can you bankrupt against your taxes?
You can. Don't recommend it if the only thing you have in terms of debt is this tax debt, unless it's really weighing down on you. And I've had a couple of clients I've recommended to bankruptcy attorney because they owed so much there was no possible way they were going to get it paid, but they did have a couple of other assets that they didn't really want to leave. So we looked at, can we file for bankruptcy? But there are some conditions to filing for bankruptcy. First, you have to be current on all your filing. So if you got that letter because you haven't filed in the past 5 years, step 1's going to be to file those returns. And that may solve a lot of your problems. And then it has to have been assessed at least 2 years ago. Then, and we're getting very close to bankruptcy law here, and I don't want to give bankruptcy law advice because I'm not a lawyer. Then, it potentially again. So you would then want to talk to an attorney, a bankruptcy attorney. Can we get this dismissed in bankruptcy? Now, not all taxes are dismissible. Trust fund recovery is not dismissible in bankruptcy. What a trust fund is, when you have employees and you withhold that money, that fund is where that money's supposed to go.
It's not really your money.
Bingo. Please, thank you for saying that. It isn't your money. It belongs to the government.
Yeah.
And they are rather insistent that you pay it.
And it's good for you to pay it because the employees need to have that money sent in.
And the IRS takes it so seriously, they will go after anyone, not just the business owner, but anyone who could have written a check. So you've got a clerk. Little Miss Jones, her sole function in life is to answer the phone and maybe write checks. And for whatever reason, you put her on a check account. They'll go after her.
Well, that's not fair.
Fair is not in their lexicon. Now, can I save her? Maybe. Probably. But let's not put her in the position in the first place. Let's pay them. So, yeah, the answer to your question is, how do we prevent those bad things? You work with them by first reading the letter, second, hiring representation, third, doing what your representative tells you to do. And trust me, my clients do what I tell them to do because they understand that if they don't, they're not going to have a happy outcome. It's going to cost them a lot more money.
I guess when you look at taxes, it's just like anything else that a small business person has to deal with. There are certain things that a small business person can handle themselves, but there are things that they need to hire a professional because we certainly don't know the tax laws and so forth, and we don't know what to tell the IRS, not to tell the IRS.
That's right. You know, I read in a book, and I won't say the book or author because I don't have the permission to do so. But what he said was, do what you do well and delegate the rest. Now, anyone who's read
That's in my coaching.
Well, there we go.
Yeah.
Do what you do best. So if you're a great graphic artist, stick to it. If you're not an accountant, don't try to do the accounting. It's too important. Hire competent people to do that. And it doesn't mean make them an employee. I have clients I do bookkeeping for. They don't have an accounting department. I'm their accounting department. I'm also their CFO because I can provide them advice on a course of action. Well, I'm thinking about moving to Covington. Okay, let's look at the tax entity. As part of an overall decision.
Yeah. And the other thing that the time that, because, you know, people that start a business know how to do whatever it is they do. But they don't always know how to run a business because they haven't done that. So part of it is the time that you would take setting, or I would take setting up QuickBooks and learning how to do it and all that. I could go out and sell stuff that would pay for somebody like you.
Most people who open a business, and I am stealing this from an author who I would give credit to if I had permission, I can't, are entrepreneurial technicians with a virus. They are not entrepreneurs. And that's okay. If you're the best automobile mechanic in the world, open your own shop. But don't think for a second that you know anything about the books, the marketing, or a whole host of other things. Stick to turning wrenches and delegate or hire out those other things. If you're a great auto mechanic, that's wonderful. I'll let you work on my truck. But you shouldn't be working on your books. You're not, as you so eloquently put, you're not making any money if you're working on QuickBooks.
That's right. And the funny part is, you could hire somebody else who could do it in an hour, where it would take me half a day because I don't know how to do it.
Exactly, just like my mechanic. I can't tune up modern engines because they're all run by computers, and I don't have a computer science. But I know mechanics. They can listen. Oh, okay, this is what we need to do. And they check it on their, they fix it.
That's their skill set.
Exactly. My skill set is QuickBooks, is the IRS, is the tax law. So you let me do what I do, and you do what you do.
Makes perfectly good sense to me. And we just need to stay in our lane and then hire somebody to do the work that we don't know how to do. Mm-hmm. And the IRS is not somebody I think we want to mess with. And if we get into trouble, we don't know what to do with it. And so
trying to deal with the IRS when you've got a problem, it's kind of like walking into a biker bar and saying that the only motorcycle worth riding is a Honda. You will not get out of there alive.
Oh no, I think everybody's smarter than that.
And yet they will try to take on the IRS, the biggest, most efficient collection agency on planet Earth. There's no place on earth they cannot.
And didn't you tell me they had just revved up and hired a bunch of new people?
They did. Now, it's going to take 4 or 5 years before those guys are really good. If they can stumble along and get help from others, they can still come take your bank account.
You just had to say that, didn't you?
Mm-hmm. Because I want to impress upon you how important it is that you deal with this in the early stages and not when they're sending you levy letters.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Well, I think we all can listen to Steve and know that we don't want to mess with the IRS. And so, thank you for all the information, Steve. And again, I recommend if you're a small business owner on Amazon, you can stand up to the IRS by Steve Perry. Thank you, Steve.
Thanks for watching. If you found this information helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and share this video. And make sure to subscribe for more great tax tips and strategies from Steve Perry and Books, Taxes, and more. Visit our website at bookstaxesatl.com for more resources. See you in the next video.